Zhang Ling sat comfortably in front of his camera, flashing his signature dazzling smile to the thousands of fans who had already flooded the livestream chat. The room was cozy, lit with a soft warm glow that accentuated his features, and he looked ready for a relaxed evening of chatting and unwinding with his dedicated supporters. Little did he know that this particular broadcast was about to take a hilariously chaotic turn that would soon become the talk of social media platforms everywhere. At first, everything flowed smoothly as he greeted everyone warmly, answering random questions about his recent drama shoots, his favorite foods, and how he had been spending his rare days off. The comments scrolled past at lightning speed, a colorful blur of heart emojis, compliments, and playful teasing from fans who loved his witty banter. Linghe chuckled softly at a particularly cheeky comment, leaning in closer to the screen to read it out loud before firing back with a quick, humorous reply that sent the chat into an even greater frenzy. As the conversation drifted toward everyday life, Linghe decided to share a minor, relatable blunder from earlier that morning involving his attempts at making breakfast. He gestured animatedly with his hands, acting out the dramatic scene of a toaster popping up unexpectedly and startling him so badly that he nearly dropped his entire plate of eggs. His exaggerated facial expressions and deadpan delivery were so comical that viewers instantly started clipping the moment, knowing it was pure gold for memes. Midway through his animated storytelling, a sudden, bizarre sound echoed softly in the background of the quiet room, causing Linghe to freeze mid-sentence. His brows furrowed in genuine confusion as his eyes darted away from the camera lens to scan the corners of his living space for the mysterious noise. The chat room noticed the abrupt pause immediately, and the scrolling text shifted from eager questions to a cascade of laughing emojis and curious inquiries about what had just happened. Linghe held up a single finger, signaling for his audience to stay quiet while he tried to track down the source of the peculiar sound that had just disrupted his flow. He leaned to the side, peering under his desk and looking behind his studio equipment with the intense concentration of a seasoned detective on a high-stakes mission. Fans watched in absolute amusement, thoroughly entertained by the fact that a major celebrity was completely baffled by what turned out to be a minor household quirk. Realizing that nothing dangerous or overly dramatic was happening, a wave of relief washed over his face, replaced quickly by his trademark playful embarrassment. He gave an awkward little laugh, rubbing the back of his neck as he admitted to his viewers that living alone sometimes meant jumping at shadows and random creaks in the walls. The chat adored his genuine vulnerability and self-deprecating humor, showering him with virtual hugs and even more affectionate teasing. Attempting to steer the livestream back on track, Linghe cleared his throat and tried to introduce a planned segment where he would read some funny fan fiction aloud. However, fate clearly had other plans for the evening, as technology decided to test his patience in the most unexpected way possible. His phone, which was propped up on a mini tripod right next to his computer setup, suddenly began vibrating violently with a relentless wave of incoming notifications. The vibration grew so intense that the lightweight tripod began to slowly slide across the smooth wooden surface of his desk like a tiny, determined crab. Linghe watched in slow-motion horror as the device inched closer and closer to the edge, his eyes widening in alarm as he realized a disaster was unfolding in real time. He let out a loud gasp, lunging forward with lightning-fast reflexes to catch the tumbling phone just a split second before it hit the floor. Unfortunately, in his dramatic rescue attempt, his elbow accidentally knocked over an entire glass of water that had been sitting innocently out of frame. The water spilled in a dramatic arc across his desk, splashing directly onto his secondary monitor and sending a shower of sparkling droplets everywhere. Linghe froze completely, staring down at the spreading puddle with a look of utter disbelief and comical despair etched onto his handsome face. The livestream chat erupted into an absolute frenzy of chaotic laughter, with fans typing in all caps as they realized the sheer slapstick comedy unfolding right before their eyes. Some viewers joked that he possessed the unluckiest hands in the industry, while others declared that this specific broadcast belonged in a museum of legendary celebrity bloopers. Linghe slowly looked up from the mess, making direct eye contact with the camera lens with a look of pure, unadulterated defeat. Instead of panicking or cutting the broadcast short, Linghe leaned entirely into the chaos, letting out a booming laugh that echoed warmly through the microphone. He grabbed a handful of tissues from a nearby box and began aggressively mopping up the spill while simultaneously offering a running comedic commentary on his own clumsiness. His ability to laugh at himself endeared him even more to the audience, proving why his personality was just as captivating as his acting skills. With the desk finally dried off and the electronic equipment safely rescued from total destruction, Linghe slumped back into his chair, letting out a long, theatrical sigh of exhaustion. He looked straight into the camera with faux seriousness, announcing to his fans that he was officially retiring from multitasking during live streams because the universe was clearly conspiring against him. The comment section flooded with supportive messages, heart symbols, and playful demands for him to handle his future broadcasts wrapped in bubble wrap for safety. The mood in the room shifted back to a warm, cozy vibe as Linghe settled down to read more comments, occasionally referencing the water spill incident with a self-deprecating chuckle. Fans began sharing their own hilarious clumsy moments in the chat, turning the livestream into a massive, comforting community support group for people who constantly bump into furniture and drop things. Linghe read several of these stories out loud, offering empathetic nods and validating everyone's shared lack of physical coordination. As the minutes ticked by, the conversation turned to his upcoming projects, and Linghe's demeanor shifted into one of passionate excitement as he spoke about his craft. He gave subtle, teasing hints about the emotional depth of his character in his new drama, making sure not to spoil any major plot twists while still building massive anticipation among viewers. The juxtaposition between his earlier slapstick mishap and his intense dedication to his art made the viewing experience uniquely charming and memorable. Fans began asking him to do various impromptu voice impressions, knowing full well how talented he was at modulating his pitch for dramatic or comedic effect. Without missing a beat, Linghe gamely launched into a hilarious imitation of a dramatic historical villain, complete with sweeping hand gestures and an overly theatrical tone of voice. The sheer unexpectedness of the performance caught everyone off guard, resulting in another wave of skyrocketing viewer numbers and ecstatic comments. Suddenly, a loud, undeniable rumble echoed through the room, originating clearly from somewhere in the vicinity of Linghe's midsection. He stopped speaking instantly, his eyes widening in pure horror as he realized his stomach had just betrayed him loudly on a public broadcast with thousands of listeners. A deep flush of red crept up his neck and settled across his cheeks, transforming him into the living definition of total embarrassment. The chat went completely wild, with fans immediately flooding the screen with messages teasing him about needing a late-night snack break right away. Linghe covered his face with both hands, groaning playfully as he muttered into his palms that his body had no sense of timing whatsoever. The vulnerability and pure, unfiltered cuteness of the reaction sent a collective wave of fondness through the entire online fandom. Lowering his hands with a shy, sheepish grin, Linghe admitted defeat and confessed that he had skipped dinner to make sure he started the livestream on time for his fans. He promised to keep the broadcast brief so he could finally run off and find something delicious to eat, earning a chorus of virtual encouragement from viewers telling him to go grab a proper meal immediately. However, instead of logging off, he decided to turn the snack hunt into an impromptu kitchen adventure right in front of the camera. With surprising agility, Linghe grabbed his wireless mic and hoisted his laptop up, announcing that the stream was moving locations to the kitchen area down the hall. Fans typed furiously in the chat, excited by the spontaneous behind-the-scenes house tour they never knew they desperately wanted. The camera bounced gently as he walked, offering brief glimpses of a tidy, minimalist hallway before revealing a sleek, modern kitchen space. Linghe propped the device up on the kitchen counter, immediately opening the refrigerator door to survey his midnight snack options with the seriousness of a chef evaluating ingredients. The refrigerator light cast a bright glow across his face as he deliberated between a tub of leftover noodles, some fresh fruit, and a carton of milk. Fans chimed in with loud opinions in the chat, passionately debating which food item he should choose for his midnight feast. Ignoring most of the conflicting advice, Linghe decided to go the easiest route possible and pulled out a packet of instant ramen from the pantry cabinet. He triumphantly held the package up to the camera like a victorious hunter displaying his prize, earning a wave of laughing emojis from the amused audience watching his every move. He filled a small pot with water, placed it on the stove burner, and turned the dial with practiced ease. While waiting for the water to boil, Linghe leaned casually against the counter, continuing his conversation with the chat as if cooking midnight noodles on a live broadcast was the most normal thing in the world. He answered questions about his skincare routine, shared random trivia about his favorite music genres, and playfully scolded fans who were making jokes about his earlier kitchen disaster with the toaster. The relaxed, intimate atmosphere made everyone feel as though they were hanging out with a close friend in their own kitchen. A soft bubbling sound soon drew his attention back to the stove, signaling that the water had finally reached a rolling boil. Linghe carefully tore open the ramen packet, dropping the dried noodles into the hot water alongside the flavor packets with practiced precision. A rich, savory aroma immediately filled the kitchen space, prompting Ling to take an exaggerated, blissful sniff and declare that it smelled absolute heaven after a long day of work. Just as he reached for a pair of chopsticks to stir the noodles, a sudden loud crash echoed from the living room area, shattering the peaceful cooking ambiance. Ling froze completely, his hand hovering over the pot as his eyes darted nervously toward the hallway leading back to the main room. The chat immediately began speculating wildly about ghosts, falling books, or perhaps a mischievous pet that had managed to sneak into the house unnoticed. Ling let out a nervous chuckle, whispering softly to the camera that his house was definitely haunted and that he might need to call for backup if anything else decided to fall over. With slow, cautious steps, he walked back down the hallway to investigate the source of the mysterious noise, leaving the livestream audience on the edge of their seats in suspense. The camera angle shook slightly, giving viewers a first-person perspective of a late-night paranormal investigation starring a very confused actor. Rounding the corner into the living room,